Now let's get right into the conference championship games. Let's start with the 49ers and the Eagles game, the first game of the slate. To be honest, this one was kind of a stinker. I was really excited for this game. I thought this was the two best teams in the NFC throughout the whole year. I was very excited for this good, close matchup. The 49ers have been steamrolling people all year. The Eagles have been steamrolling people all year. It was big on big, and I was excited to see who came out on top and how good the game was. But unfortunately, that's really not how it went. The Eagles did the steamrolling today, 31-7, advancing to their second Super Bowl in 6 years with a different coach and a different quarterback, which, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have proof of this, but if I'm not mistaken, that has to be the first time in league history that that's happened with both a different coach and different quarterback for the same team to be in a Super Bowl, like less than 7-8 years apart, which is pretty crazy to be honest. I think that, you look at the game and the big story is about Brock Purdy. Before that happened, the Eagles went down the field, obviously, on that first drive. They really set the tone. They showed their balls and they went for it on that fourth down. Devontae Smith made that great catch. He had that great catch, which honestly, it was a fantastic job reeling it in with the one hand, but I don't believe he survived the ground. But I mean, good for him to, get to the line and hurry up and hurry up and hurry up and let the Eagles run that other play so that San Francisco couldn't challenge or that the booth couldn't overturn it. I think that was one of Kyle Shanahan's mistakes in this game is that he didn't challenge that sooner. Typically, when a receiver gets up super fast and tries to, get the ball to the line and get the ball spiked or get the ball snapped really quick, when it's not like a 2-minute drill or an end of the half type of deal, typically it's not a good sign for the offense. That means he didn't catch it. So if I was Kyle Shanahan, I would have at least called a timeout, because we all know timeouts in the first half are significantly less valuable than timeouts in the second half, or I would have thrown a challenge flag, whatever. But I don't think if that was reviewed, it would have been called a catch. But regardless, they get it. They go on the field. They punch it in. Cool. Philly sets the tone early 7-0. Next drive of the game, Brock Purdy gets hit. His elbow gets hit when he's throwing. His elbow gets almost like hit in by Hassan Reddick, fumbles the ball, picked up by the Eagles. And honestly, that did it for the 49ers. And I will say, even before that, on the first Eagles drive, Fred Warner got hurt. Obviously, Fred Warner came back in the game, but he got hurt. Nick Bosa got hurt on like a freak punt return situation. That was really weird. And then obviously Brock Purdy got hurt. So having those three guys get hurt for the Niners was critical, and it was part of the reason why they lost. But Purdy getting hurt. I mean, the rest of the game, the Niners kind of rolled with Josh Johnson, and then Josh Johnson got hurt, and then they said, "Well, shit, what do we do?" They kind of put Purdy back in the game out of emergency. But it was very evident, at least to me, it was very evident he could not throw the ball, like, at all. He threw little dinky dunky screens, and when you're down big in a playoff game, you need more than that. And I'm not blaming Brock Purdy. I'm saying that I think the 49ers had basically zero options. They were quite literally had 4 injured quarterbacks, which is unprecedented. That's just insanity. That's just all-time terrible luck. They had 4 injured quarterbacks, and so what can you do in that situation, really? I did see that they tried to put in Christian McCaffrey, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but I kind of want to go over some stats of the game. I see a lot of 49ers fans saying that the only reason they lost was Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy decided the game and da-da-da-da-da, which I won't disagree hurt the 49ers. However, I will say that they lost for many more reasons. First of all, the Niners were outgained 269-164. The Niners had 3 turnovers. Philly had 0. The Niners had 22.5 minutes of possession time. The Eagles had 37.5. The Niners had 11 first downs to Philly's 25. This is the big one right here. The 49ers committed 11 penalties for 81 yards. Philly only had 4 for 34 yards. And then the 49ers didn't really get to Jalen Hurts as much as Philly got to Josh Johnson and Brock Purdy. So, yes, obviously Purdy getting hurt sucked for the 49ers, but I would venture to say the Eagles probably still would have won regardless. Jalen Hurts wasn't very productive today. A.J. Brown wasn't very productive today, and they still scored 31 points. Like, that's just the Eagles on a, I wouldn't even call it an off night, but on a non-superstar night from their quarterback. they still put up 31 points and won by 3 scores. It's just incredible. Um, so unfortunately, 49ers, wasn't your day. Obviously, you guys had some terrible injury luck, but the Eagles have been, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL all year. And to see them in the Super Bowl is no surprise to me. I actually predicted this earlier in the year. I will take a quick second. I have no proof of this. I have no, digital footprint of this. But my preseason prediction for the Super Bowl was the Eagles and the Chiefs. I was right on that. Obviously, it's easy to say now. And now that I'm making content, you guys will see my predictions for next year. So I don't have to, you don't have to just trust me for the next Super Bowl if I predict it correctly. But the Eagles Chiefs was my Super Bowl prediction in the preseason. Um, I will say two more things about this game, or two more things about the 49ers before we kind of talk about the Eagles. I've seen a lot of people criticizing Kyle Shanahan in this game, and I've seen a lot of people talk about the quarterback situation in San Francisco. Let me first start with Shanahan. I don't put as much blame on Shanahan as I think some people do. Now, would I have liked to see a little bit more creativity from the offense? Yes. Would I have liked to seen, maybe some wildcat, maybe some, double backfield, some read option with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel? Yes, I would have. But really think about it, would it have mattered? Like, would it have mattered? Um, Josh Johnson was awful in this game. I think there's no debate about that. Basically gifted the Eagles a free touchdown by just dropping that snap. What does Kyle Shanahan do about that, right? I mean, like the guy's a professional quarterback. He couldn't handle a snap. That's not Shanahan's fault. Um, I think when you're down to Josh Johnson in a playoff game, especially against a team like the Eagles. Now, if this was maybe the wild card round and you're playing against a shit team, okay, cool. Maybe you can make it work. But I don't think Kyle Shanahan really could have done anything to win this game with Josh Johnson or Christian McCaffrey or Kyle Juszczyk at quarterback. He was put in an impossible spot, and I still think he's a great coach. I still think he's a fantastic coach, but this spot was just an impossible one with the Eagles defense being as good as it was, and there really was nothing he could do, in my opinion. And another thing I'll say is I think it's interesting every single year, and this is a pattern literally every single year in San Francisco for Kyle Shanahan, his quarterback play. It's always it always bites him. Whether it's, I mean, Jimmy at times has looked fine, cool. Jimmy missed the throws in the Super Bowl. Jimmy has been, statistically speaking, one of the worst playoff quarterbacks ever. Brock Purdy has been doing good this year. Okay, Brock Purdy gets injured in the NFC Championship game. You thought Trey Lance was going to be something. Trey Lance broke his ankle. It's either terrible injury luck or it's just bad play at the worst time. And the 49ers, if they can get a quarterback, like a legit good star quarterback, they'll be unstoppable. But I want to go ahead and transition to the Eagles and talk about them for a second. Obviously, big props to the Eagles organization, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie. Those guys, they have built another winning culture in Philadelphia. Obviously, they still have some of the same players from the 2017 Super Bowl, but they've built another winning culture with a different identity, with a different offense, with different coordinators, different head coach. So big props to those guys. They definitely know what they're doing. I just want to say a few things. Jalen Hurts is that guy. He's that guy, confirmed. I remember the dialogue during this offseason was, oh, yeah, well, the Eagles are stacked now, but is Jalen Hurts going to hold them back? Well, Jalen Hurts isn't a franchise quarterback and da-da-da-da-da. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Jalen Hurts is that guy. He's proven he's been that guy. You look at the pattern of Jalen Hurts over his career. Every single year, he has gotten better. Like, there's been a drastic improvement in Jalen Hurts' quarterback play every single year. You look at his years at Bama. Okay, Jalen Hurts was good, but he lacked a little bit as a passer. That's a fair statement. He did. There's a reason he was benched in the national championship game, which, by the way, the dude was benched in a national championship game, kept his head high. Next season, got reinserted into the lineup during the SEC championship game, proved he was ready, won the game for Alabama that year. Then the year after, transfers to Oklahoma, damn near wins the Heisman Trophy, does great, goes into the NFL, isn't a first-round pick because he can't throw in his pocket. He's not going to be a drop-back passer and all that, whatever. Goes in the second round to the Eagles, who smartly understood that he was a steal in that round. And then, his rookie year, like most rookie years, wasn't the best. Okay, next year, made a great improvement, but still wasn't the superstar that he is right now. I mean, like, let's not forget, guys, he put up a stinker in the playoffs last year. Like he did. He put up a stinker. He wasn't ready last year. But I understood, and like a lot of people who have been watching Jalen Hurts' career understood, he's gonna get better. He's gonna bust his ass in the offseason. He's gonna hit the film room. He's gonna hit the weight room. Not that he needs to hit the weight room anymore, but he's gonna do everything he can. And then this year, legitimately would have won MVP if he hadn't missed those 2 games. Has been the best player in the NFL this year, in my opinion, and has proven in the 2 playoff games he's played that the moment is not too big for him. So big congratulations to Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen. You guys know I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. Love Jalen Hurts. He's my guy. He is the epitome of hard work, adversity, overcoming everything. Like I love Jalen Hurts, honestly. Now, speaking of overcoming doubt, let's talk about Nick Sirianni, the head coach for the Eagles, who, to be honest with you, when you had hired exactly, so yesterday was Sunday. I'm recording this on Monday morning. Yesterday was Sunday. It was the 29th. His opening press conference was exactly 2 years before that NFC Championship game. It was exactly 2 years. So it was the 29th of 2021. And if you guys remember during that press conference, he was stuttering and he was, I don't want to say tripping over his words, but I mean, you could tell like this was, it was a big moment. And I remember he was getting mocked. Everybody was mocking him, like, oh, look at this guy. Oh, he can't be an NFL coach, da 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 da. And 2 years later, he took his team to the Super Bowl. That's incredible. I mean, we have to give our props to Nick Sirianni. I don't think that obviously I think Jalen Hurts is great. I've just talked about it, but I don't think that the Eagles are where they're at without Nick Sirianni and his leadership and his energy and his passion, which some people have a problem with. I don't. I have zero problem with my head coach getting excited, screaming on the sidelines. I think that's a great thing. I think the guys love it. That it shows that he's invested, that he's into it. This is his life, this is his passion. So love that. But yeah, Nick Sirianni's taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Big props to him. Very, very excited to see what the Eagles can do. Hopefully, the Eagles and the Chiefs will have a great game in the Super Bowl, and I look forward to it in a few weeks.